Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, if you're new. If you end up liking this video, give it a thumbs up and do all the things, subscribe to my channel, whatever. I want to revisit contouring, and I kind of want to just like talk about how the placement obviously changes your face drastically. There's a reason that we contour, and you've probably gotten used to seeing me do my makeup a certain way for a very, very long time, and it's been a long time since I've like switched things up and done comparisons side by side. So that's what we're going to do today. So I want to talk about different face shapes. I've mentioned this before in previous videos that there is no like one certain face shape. Like if you have a heart-shaped face, you don't just have a heart-shaped face. A heart-shaped face can be more round, it can be a little bit more narrow, it can be more square. So it works best to go in like the sections of your face. Today I wanted to keep this a little bit more general though. So I want to talk mostly about like how to make your face look more narrow, how to make it look shorter, and then how to make it look more heart-shaped. So I'm gonna start off with how to make it look shorter. Now my face is like relatively round. Personally, I like to make it look a little bit more heart-shaped. If you're someone who has a very long face, maybe you have like a more oval face, maybe you have a longer chin, you have a more narrow forehead, but it's up high, then these are some tips that will help work for you. So I'm gonna be using Anastasia Beverly Hills FAWN to contour, which is basically like a foundation stick. It's pretty thick. So to make your forehead look shorter, you want to avoid the sides, obviously. You want to avoid the areas around your temple because that's just going to bring the eye in. So you want to kind of like focus on this area right here, which will bring the hairline down a little bit. So I'm just gonna draw a couple little lines right there. Then, if you have a long chin, if you're someone who has like a longer chin or more oval face and you want to kind of like bring it up a little bit, you want to like make it look shorter, then you want to focus your contour right on the end of the chin. Can you see how already like placing those darker areas has kind of like done this to my face? All right, so I'm going to blend that out, and I want to obviously make sure that I'm focusing it on the area that I want to push back in space, which would be my chin. So I'm gonna bring it down. I wanna make sure that it's blending, but you wanna make sure that you're focusing it in the area that you wanna push back in space, meaning minimize. But you also wanna make sure that you are blending sufficiently. Okay, so now that I've blended my chin, you can kind of see that it's minimized this area and kind of brought like a little bit more definition to this area of my face, which for my face shape, I don't find flattering. But if you have a very oval face or a very narrow face, it might work best for you. Same thing with the hairline. So I want to keep this in the area that I placed it using light patting and dragging motions. If you're someone who has like a lot of acne, or if you want to maintain coverage, then patting is going to be a lot better. It's going to maintain more coverage for you. You don't want to do swiping. So making sure that you're blending, but also maintaining that color in the area that you placed it is going to be key. So focusing mostly this area right here. I'm doing my best not to bring it down any further than that. You basically think like straight line right at your hairline. Okay, so you can kind of see how that contour is sort of like sandwiching my face, and the light areas are doing this. So we're just kind of creating a little bit more of a horizontal look. Okay, now if you want to make your face look more narrow, then you kind of want to do the opposite of this. So this is going to be for someone who has a much wider face. Maybe you have a very short forehead, a short chin, and the rest of your face is like very, very wide, and you're trying to make it look a little bit more, maybe you want to make it look a little bit more oval, or maybe you just want to minimize a little bit the like outer perimeter. What you want to do is especially if you have a short forehead, then you want to do the opposite of what we just did. And you want to focus this contour around your temple. So right here. And then another thing that you want to do is focus on the very outline of your face. So kind of like following your hairline here, bringing it to your ear, and then down to your chin, jaw. Now, obviously, when you contour your cheeks, you want to place that contour out in the outer area of your face. Right, like that. And you want to avoid this area. So you're focusing everything on the outer perimeter of the face. And depending on like how wide your certain areas of your face, like if you have a very wide jawline, you can kind of bring that contour in a little bit more, but you want to basically be focusing on this like general area of your face. Same thing with your brush. So keeping it in that area, being very intentional with your blending. You can bring it towards your temple, onto the cheekbone, maintaining everything in that outer perimeter. Blend around your ear, that jawline. And then as you get to like the inner part of your face, you can just kind of like fade. Just blend and fade. Go back in with your sponge. The earring is so annoying. See how we have this happening? It just kind of like brings, you can already see a huge difference from this side to this side. We have this like natural shadow that's happening here, whereas like the side of my face is being like pulled that way because of the lights and the contour's not blended yet. So I'm gonna gently blend this, sweeping it in. Another tip to keep in mind is using a brush that is like the right size for your face. If you're using something that is too large, then you might end up not being able to keep that product like where you first placed it. It prevents you from being intentional with your placement and just ends up kind of like going everywhere. So make sure that you're using like a sufficiently sized brush. If it's too small and you feel like you're blending forever, or you end up getting like a lot of streakiness, then you might want to use a slightly larger brush. Okay, so this is how to make your face look more narrow. So we've shaded all along the sides, but we left the chin, we left the forehead completely untouched. So those light areas are really drawing the face in this direction. This contour technique is going to work best for someone who has a square face, a round face that they're trying to make look more narrow. Maybe you just think that your face in general is just like a little bit wide, and you're trying to balance that. Now, if you're trying to make your face look more heart-shaped, then you gotta think of a heart, right? So you want to maintain some width at the cheekbones and up around the eyes, and you want the point to kind of end at your chin. So I'm gonna do kind of a combination of all of them. So I'm going to bring the forehead down a little bit so that we have this kind of shape happening. It's not literally like this, but you want kind of like the focus to be your eyes. So bring the forehead down, bring the cheeks in, bring the jawline in, and leave the chin open. So I'm going to start off by blending my forehead. So you can see I'm blending up into my hairline to begin with. I want to make sure that I'm not taking it down way too low. But once that is blended, then I can kind of like pat whatever's left over, so that I'm creating a little bit of an ombre effect on my forehead. All right, next I'm going to move into my cheekbones. So I'm going to pat. I want to make sure that this area stays nice and like light and defined. So I'm going to slowly bring that contour into the cheek right here into this hollow, so that this area looks nice and lifted. Then I'm going to start blending down along the jaw in a downward motion, fading out towards the chin. Okay, can you see how we have created kind of this shape? Like that. So it's kind of like going up and around the cheekbone and the eye, coming in a little bit at the cheekbone, and then sort of meeting at that chin point. All right, guys, so this is the heart-shaped finished look. So hopefully you can see how we've kind of like minimized the jawline, brought it up and defined the cheekbones out here and maintained that like definition around the eyes and the cheekbones. All right, so those are 3 different contouring techniques that kind of 2 different, I guess, and then one that's 2 of them combined for different effects for the face on my face, which might be very different from your face, but hopefully you can kind of see how the different placement really changes things. It's all about where you put lights and darks. Obviously you can like intensify this by highlighting as well. So for instance, if you're someone who is trying to make your face look more narrow, then you can place a little bit of highlight on the chin, like right here in the center of the forehead while contouring the outer perimeter of your face. And vice versa, if you have like a more narrow face and you're trying to make it look a little bit wider, then you can contour up here, highlight like the tops of your cheekbones out here, contour your chin, maybe put a little bit of highlight like right on the outer part of your jawline underneath your contour. It's all of those little like tricks that really make a huge difference when you're doing your makeup. Obviously, they're not necessary for every day. Everybody's face is fantastic. I love everybody's face. Love it. But if you are contouring, if you are doing your makeup and there are certain things you're trying to achieve, hopefully these little tips will help. Yeah, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and all the things. I have makeup tips and tutorials and reviews and random stuff, so yeah, it's a good time. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments down below. I gotta go. It's been real. I'll see you in the next one.